New York City 911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
It's a, so we want involuntary transportation.
I'm
Would
sorry?
that be the ambulance?
You need an ambulance? What's the address?
Baba, no!
Hey, put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
Most police encounters do not begin with violence. They begin with concern. A phone call from a family member, a request for help, a welfare check. These are moments rooted in care, moments where someone is struggling, frightened, or unwell, and intervention is sought to prevent harm. People make these calls believing that help will arrive. But inside these ordinary requests, a transformation often begins the moment police are dispatched. In modern policing, danger does not need to be confirmed. It only needs to be perceived. And once a threat is perceived, the purpose of the encounter changes. A call for care becomes a tactical response. Language shifts from concern to command. Distance is reduced. Time accelerates. What began as a mental health crisis is redefined as a threat scenario, sometimes within seconds. From that point forward, the outcome is shaped less by intent and more by speed. This documentary examines how care calls collapse into tactical encounters and how time compression under stress drives the use of deadly force in situations involving mental illness. Using body-worn camera footage, we examine the precise moments when interpretation hardens into belief and belief becomes action. These cameras do more than record events. They reveal how quickly ordinary interactions are transformed once fear enters the frame. Across the United States, body cameras now capture encounters that once existed only through official reports. They show us not only what happened, but how fast it happened. They reveal how commands are issued faster than they can be processed, how hesitation is interpreted as resistance, and how confusion is mistaken for defiance. In mental health crises, time is essential, but policing removes time the moment stress takes over. The cases examined here occur in different cities and involve different individuals, but they share the same structure. A request for help, police arrival, uncertainty, a perceived threat, rapid escalation, force. What connects these cases is not geography, race, or intent. It is a decision-making mechanism, one that activates the instant an officer concludes, "I am in danger." At some point in each encounter, there is a threshold moment when the situation can no longer slow down. Once crossed, seconds replace patience, and tactics replace care. By examining these moments closely, this documentary asks a critical question. When outcomes are decided in seconds, what happens to those who cannot move, think, or comply at the speed policing demands? Understanding that question is essential, not only to explain what happened, but to understand why it keeps happening. Case 1. Jabez Chakraborty. Case 1 begins the way many mental health emergencies do, not with police strategy, not with threat warnings, but with family concern. On the morning of January 26, 2026, New York City police officers responded to a call from a home in Jamaica Hills, Queens. The call was not about a crime. It was a request for help. A family member reported that 22-year-old Jabez Chakraborty, who had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, was experiencing a mental health crisis and needed to be taken to the hospital.
New York City 911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
It's a, so we want involuntary transportation.
I'm
Would that
sorry?
be the ambulance?
You need an ambulance? What's the address? That's the EMS, correct?
Yes.
Is this for a male or female, and how old?
Male, 22.
And what's wrong? Is he violent?
No, not now. He just, he threw his fourth piece of glass. He's not hitting anybody. He just threw glass at, the...
The caller requested an ambulance. The expectation was medical care. These details matter because they establish intent. This was not an enforcement call. It was a care call, rooted in concern, not danger. When officers arrive, body-worn camera footage shows a calm initial exchange. A door opens. Voices are steady. There is no warning about a weapon. No indication that force will be necessary. The scene appears ordinary, controlled, and non-confrontational. Then the knife appears.
Cold? You cold?
Yes.
You coming?
Yes.
Oh
Sorry,
my gosh.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Good.
Baba, no!
Hey! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife Move! Put the knife down! Put the
It
knife.
is not mentioned in the original call. It emerges during the encounter itself. From this moment forward, time compresses. Commands replace conversation. Officers issue rapid, repeated instructions. Put the knife down, with increasing urgency. The expectation shifts instantly to immediate compliance. Jabez does not comply fast enough. What happens next unfolds in just over 1 minute.
Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Shots fired! Shots fired!
From entry to gunfire, the entire encounter lasts approximately 65 seconds. In that span, a mental health crisis is reclassified as a lethal threat. The presence of the knife overrides the reason officers were there in the first place. This encounter does not unfold as medical intervention. It unfolds as tactical enforcement. Schizophrenia affects perception, processing speed, and response to stress. Under pressure, compliance may be delayed, movements may be erratic, and commands may not register clearly. But instead of being understood as symptoms of illness, these behaviors are interpreted as intent. Vulnerability is not accommodated. It is compressed into threat. There is no visible effort to slow the encounter, increase distance, or re-establish the purpose of the call. Once the knife is seen, the framework collapses. The distinction between a person in crisis and an armed suspect disappears. The scene is no longer governed by care, but by fear and speed. Shots are fired. Jabez is struck multiple times and survives. Retention matters here because this is the first clear demonstration of the pattern. A call for help enters a system designed for control. Stress accelerates time. Perception narrows. And once vulnerability is misread as danger, every action that follows becomes justified within seconds.
I visited Jabez in the hospital, and there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain. Jabez has lived with schizophrenia for many years, and this situation underscores just how urgently we need a different and more effective mental health response system that will be safer for New Yorkers who struggle with mental health concerns, for their families, and for police officers.
Case 2. Glenn Petty Jr. On the evening of May 18, 2025, 2 officers from the Baltimore County Police Department responded to a 911 call from the 8200 block of North Boundary Road in Dundalk, Maryland. The call was not about a crime, robbery, or disturbance. It was a request for help. A man inside his home was reportedly experiencing a mental health crisis. The expectation was intervention, care, and assessment, a welfare check designed to ensure safety. The man was 43-year-old Glenn Petty Jr. These details matter because they define vulnerability. This was not a call for enforcement. It was a call for support. A family or neighbor reached out, asking professionals to manage a situation that could escalate if left unaddressed. In these moments, every decision is shaped by perception, not intent.
This is Officer Brady, Baltimore County Police. It's Officer Brady. Can I talk to you? It's Officer Brady. Can I talk to you? I can't hear you real well. Can you come talk to me?
Upon arrival, the officers attempted to make contact. One officer positioned at the front of the house, the other moved toward the alley behind it. Calm voices, identification, and repeated requests to speak were recorded on body-worn cameras. Commands were measured. Communication was attempted. This was still a care call, still a welfare check. The clock had not yet accelerated, and time, in theory, allowed for dialogue.
Show me your hands. Show me your hands. Chest fired. Chest fired. Drop the gun. Drop. Come here. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out with your hands up. Show me.
Then Glenn Petty emerged. Within seconds, the encounter shifted. Petty was armed with a loaded handgun. The first shot was fired. The alley transformed from a passage into a confrontation zone. The presence of the weapon compressed time under stress. Decisions that might have taken minutes, assessment, negotiation, containment, were now forced into immediate execution. Care became tactical response. Perception replaced patience. Seconds became life or death. Officers returned fire. Glenn Petty was struck and retreated into the house. Commands continued, now layered over rapid movement, shouting, and radio communications. Medical aid was rendered on scene even as the encounter continued, but the pace of escalation left little room for measured response. By the time emergency medical services arrived, Petty was transported to a nearby hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly afterward. No officers were injured during the exchange, and a loaded handgun was recovered in close proximity to Petty. The presence of the weapon became the pivot point in the encounter, eclipsing the original reason for the call. What began as a mental health crisis, a situation calling for calm intervention, had become a lethal confrontation in less than a minute. This case illustrates the compression of time under stress. Officers attempted communication, yet the appearance of a firearm instantaneously reframed the scene. The mental health element, the confusion, fear, and unpredictability inherent in a crisis, was filtered through the tactical lens of law enforcement. Vulnerability was not accommodated, it was perceived as threat. Every action that followed, every shot fired, every command issued, became justified within the constraints of that split-second decision window. Retention matters here because this case demonstrates a second fracture point. Even when officers strive to balance care and caution, the system is designed to prioritize immediate threat over context. The clock of perception moves faster than human comprehension, and the moment a weapon is seen, seconds dictate outcomes. Once care calls become tactical calls, there is no turning back. What follows is determined not by intention, but by compressed time, heightened stress, and the narrow focus on survival. Case 3. Piter Karkabrooks. On the morning of June 25, 2025, officers from the Baltimore Police Department responded to multiple 911 calls reporting a behavioral health crisis involving 70-year-old Piter Karkabrooks on Mosher Street. Family members and neighbors indicated that she was struggling with a mental health episode, and officers were called to ensure her safety and to transport her for treatment. The expectation was care, a routine intervention for someone in distress.
I can't hear you.
Miss Bugs! Miss Bugs! Huh?
We just want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure you're okay. Huh? I can't hear you this all.
Body-worn camera footage shows officers knocking on the front and rear doors multiple times, speaking with relatives, and coordinating entry. A key provided by family allowed officers to attempt safe access into the residence. At this stage, the situation is still a welfare check. Officers are asking, explaining, requesting compliance, and attempting communication. This is a moment of potential de-escalation, where seconds could allow time for dialogue. Then Brooks appears armed with a knife. Time compresses immediately. The front door cracks open. Her arm extends with the knife, and she makes a stabbing motion.
Over 2711 Mosher. All right, over. I'm going hot with a taser.
Officers issue repeated commands to drop the weapon. Taser deployment follows, and Brooks falls onto a couch before standing again. The calm of a welfare check evaporates. Every second now carries heightened risk. Officers react defensively, repositioning, trying to maintain distance, and attempting to regain control. As an officer backs up, he falls over a chair. Brooks moves toward him with the knife raised. The body cam captures the rapid escalation. Commands shouted, movement constrained, perception of imminent danger overriding the original intent of the call. Within moments, a second officer discharges their firearm, striking Brooks multiple times, while a trainee deploys another taser. The encounter that began as a request for assistance has become a matter of survival. Medical aid is rendered immediately, but the outcome is fatal. Brooks is pronounced dead at the scene. Investigations confirm that officers were attempting to prevent harm and fulfill a care-based mandate. But the combination of environmental stressors, heat, non-working air conditioning, physical frailty, and the appearance of a weapon accelerated the timeline beyond any chance of measured intervention. This case illustrates the dual forces at play in mental health crisis calls. Vulnerability and perception collide under compressed time. Officers are trained to act decisively when threat is perceived, yet body cam footage shows how quickly seconds compress, care becomes tactical, and intention is overtaken by survival instinct. Vulnerability is not accommodated, it is recast as threat. Commands, proximity, and seconds define the outcome, demonstrating how quickly ordinary interventions can transform into life-or-death encounters. 3 cases, 1 mechanism. Each begins with care and ends with force, not because help was unwanted, but because vulnerability collides with a system built for speed and control. Mental illness is not accommodated. It is reinterpreted as threat. Once fear enters the frame, time collapses, commands replace care, and hesitation becomes justification. Body cameras expose this pattern clearly. They show that outcomes are not accidents, but products of design. If this analysis helped you see how mental health crises are transformed into threat scenarios in seconds, share it. These stories matter because they expose structure, not spectacle. Awareness shapes how systems are questioned, trained, and redesigned. If you want more evidence-based storytelling that examines policing, vulnerability, and time, rather than isolated headlines, consider subscribing. Understanding how and why these encounters unfold is not about hindsight. It is about preventing the same outcomes from repeating.